So it's up to us on how we choose to go through life.
Exactly.
Either way, we can either have wonderful, awesome, fun living life, or we can be miserable. But either way, you're going to have to fight that battle, whatever that battle is that you're going through.
So when I saw you, you popped up in my world, and I was like, oh my goodness, this girl, she has been through hell, and I just
A
need
few
to
times,
talk to
a few
you.
times.
I mean, my God, and then you pop out like 95 children in the midst of it all. It's incredible. It resonated so much with me because people were like, how are you singing? You can't even breathe. And I'm like, well, you just do it.
Yes, you
You
do.
find a way. Now that I've talked during this whole interview, I will shift the dynamic to you instead of me.
Oh, no, I love it.
Tell me a little bit about who you are, whatever that means to you.
Awesome. I'm Tia B. Stokes. I am a mom of 5, Major, Legend, Maze, Kaz, and Rose. I am married to the handsome Andrew Stokes. And I am an entrepreneur. I am a business owner. I am a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a cancer thriver. I take that very hardly because I feel like, every situation that you get to choose, you get to choose the way you live in it, and that's up to us. So for me, cancer, I've been able to thrive. I feel like I've been able to really find myself in who I am. I was diagnosed in April 2020. And
Mhm.
since then, I lost my mom in the first month. I
Ugh.
was admitted into the hospital for pretty much most of my journey and alone due to COVID because
Mm,
it was in the middle of at the beginning of the pandemic. And
yes.
so I was in the hospital alone for most of it, away from my kids, away from my husband. I lost my mother. Well, I gained an angel. I feel like I didn't really lose her. I feel like she's closer to me than she ever has been.
Yes.
And then I had a neuropathy.
Mm.
I couldn't talk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't, the chemo had killed my, my good and my bad and
Yeah.
everything, my bone marrow completely. And so I had to regain my strength again. I also got COVID. I was like one of the
Oh,
first cancer
yeah.
patients to get COVID because it was so new and they
Mm.
didn't know how to handle it. So I was obviously back in the hospital, isolated for about a month and a half, and overcame a lot of obstacles. And then I got a transplant. I was able to receive a transplant December 2nd, 2020. My brother was my donor, and it was a miracle that he was 100% my match.
Wow.
And I'm just so grateful. And I am now fighting graft versus host disease, which is a disease that happens after transplant that happens to your body. And I am thriving. I'm dancing. I just started dancing again. I own 2 dance studios that dance for a cause. I donate 100% of all of our concert fee, all of our concert, ticket sales and everything go to help families that are going through real life calamities
Mm.
and that are fighting cancer or other illnesses or sudden death or whatever it may be. We dedicate our time and our talents to helping families in need. And I've been doing that for the last 15 years.
Wow.
And I'm just so grateful to continue being here on this earth so I can continue that
Yes.
and raising my children. So that's just, in a nutshell, that's who I am. And I'm growing to become who God wants me to become.
Mm.
So,
Hmm. And in the midst of it all, I imagine you fluctuated in terms of how you feel, in terms of either hopeful
oh,
and not
totally.
hopeful at the end of life, the beginning of life, and coming from experience, you think you're going to die one day, and then you're like, oh, life is back, and then you're going to die again. And how do
Yeah.
you actually navigate that psychologically? Like, how do you talk to yourself? If you do, what do you tell yourself? How do you get yourself through that when it gets so dark?
Yes, I've experienced a lot, and I'm sure like you said, everybody has their story, and everybody has their ups and downs. And I get asked that a lot because they're like, "What's been the hardest part of your cancer journey?" And I'm like, "It's still hard. Like
Exactly.
this is a
Exactly.
different type of hard. Like there's so many different types of hards." And for me, self-talk is obviously huge. I feel like when you change your paradigm and you say the things that you want to be instead of, naturally we're, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, or oh my goodness, I don't feel good. I don't feel good today. Like I try my hardest not to feed into those thoughts and try to change my thoughts and say, I feel fantastic. I feel amazing. I have, and then also on to the top of changing my paradigm is, really focusing on the things that I'm grateful for, is focusing on, even though I'm on oxygen and I can't do all the things that I want to do right now, I don't focus on that. I focus on the things that I can do. And I try my hardest to remember the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I do have lungs to breathe still. I'm grateful that I'm alive still to this day. I'm grateful that I have children, that I'm still able to raise. So in the midst of all the hard times that your journey may fluctuate up and down, I feel like, and I know that there's always something to be grateful for, no matter what, no matter what, like, and people can tell me no to you. Like I've had people say, I can't find anything that I'm grateful for. And I'm like, there is no way, like if you are alive, there is something to be grateful for.
That in itself, the fact that
that in itself,
that in itself. I mean, I have stairs in my new house, and what that means to me is so much that I can look at those stairs. And I mean, I couldn't walk 3 steps before without just, it was like Mount Everest, and I'm like, wow, like just the visual and just the fact that you can breathe. And it's just, there's so,
exactly.
I'm with 100% on all of it, the little things and flipping it and perspective,
Yes.
You talked about kids. Okay. So we have to get to the fact that you have, like I said, you have 95 children, but how in the world do you have these kids with all of this, in the sense of how do you energetically live like this? Because you seem to have so much energy and so much motivation and so much, and I know that of course publicly and privately I imagine you are still that, but there's also a lot of what we show. I have the same thing where I don't want to come on camera if I'm like bawling my eyes out. But how do you maintain this positivity and energy with regard to having so much in your life that's going on?
Honestly, I feel like I've been so blessed. I've always had lots of energy growing up. I've always been one of little sleep. I can run off of like 3 hours of sleep. I honestly have to say that's been a blessing. And I feel like I was prepared for this journey. I feel like my life, like I feel like the last 15 years since I was doing Calamity and running my studios and opening up my businesses and having kids, like I feel like I was prepared for this moment. And honestly, I just have to think in my head, like if I'm pushing myself, because there's so many things that I'm doing as well, I always have to think if I'm pushing myself for all these things, I have to push myself for my kids. Like I have to give back the same amount of energy to everyone, everybody that's involved, and if not to my kids more. So I try to keep a positive attitude. Give and take where I can. You can't be sometimes being active in my kid's life is sitting on this couch right here and reading them a story, and really trying to soak in those slow moments and those moments with my children and wife to my husband, because he's a football coach. And so I want to support him as well and do all the things. So I think it's just really, feeling like you don't have to do it all big, if that makes sense. You don't have to do everything so big for everyone, but taking those moments that are small and little and still being able to, just be present and be there in their lives. Even if, like I said, even if it's sitting there reading a book or holding them or something, I feel like those moments are the moments that I fought so hard for. So, and honestly, I'm grateful for the energy that I've been given. And I feel like because I find gratitude, I honestly feel like because I strive to find gratitude in my life every day, when you look for the good things in your life every day, it naturally boosts your energy. Exactly. It naturally makes you feel a little bit better, instead of when you're focusing on the negatives and focusing on the things that you don't have or what's not going right. That naturally brings you down. Right? Like, don't you agree? Like that naturally sucks the life out of you. Yeah, totally. So I feel like when you're always looking for the positives and you're always looking for the good, then you're going to be blessed with more and more energy.
Exactly. It's the thing, it's the inspiration thing. It's like go do the
Totally.
things you love, whatever they may be, however you can do them, which is what I love
Yeah,
that you talk about. It's what I've always believed, do what you can with what you have. That's it. That's all you can do. And look at what you
exactly.
have to be grateful for it. So your whole thing on Instagram, from what I know, is choose happy, which is so wonderful because it's the whole idea that it really is your life, like I think goes on. Your life is what you believe, it's what goes on in your head,
Yes. Oh,
right?
totally.
And so you can make that be. And I love that so much. And how did that just come out of Tia World? Where did that come
Yeah, I actually, that was even before cancer. Like that was
from?
my page before cancer. I was diagnosed. I had that on my page. And, ever since I started my Instagram, which was like 9 years ago, I always wanted to be a space where I can be raw and real and show those moments. But because I feel like a lot of the times people just think, oh, she's just like that, or that's just how she
Right.
is, or, oh, she's always been like that, or no, but they don't understand that I too have to fight for it. I too have to
Exactly.
choose that. Like, I feel like everyone forgets that happiness is a choice, and it starts from gratitude. It starts from, I love the quote that happy people aren't grateful. It's grateful people who are happy,
Exactly.
and it's so true. If you're choosing to find the things in your life that you're grateful for every single day, then you're choosing happy and you're
Exactly.
becoming more and more happy. So I wanted my Instagram to always be somewhere where people could, feel those raw and real moments, but also know that, dang, she is choosing too. Like,
That's
this
right.
is not just something that happens, but it's something in our minds and in our hearts and in our bodies that we have to choose every single day, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Not necessarily all that easy sometimes. And how,
No, well, and
you
actually,
know,
if you think about it, it's like it's harder to choose
mm,
happy than it is to
no
choose to
kidding.
be right. Like,
Of course.
it,
Yes, I do. I mean, it's
yeah.
crazy. I have like a foot that's basically blown up to the size of this from ECMO, the life support machine that I was on right now. And I've just,
Oh my
before this, I was on the phone with the doctor. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And they're talking about surgery and my leg. And I'm like, okay, let's just take that and go like this and be here now in happiness,
yeah,
like happiness, whatever you call it. But let it go here. It's like move it
yeah,
aside, go into the place of your choice and do what you need to do.
yeah.
So I am so with you on all of this. As I'm listening to you, and I'm like, that's where I'll just put my name below. But it's like Chloe said all of this. You can speak for me from now on for all of my interviews, and I'll just be like, yeah, that's right.
You're
I
so
said that.
cute.
You know?
No way.
But so a big question for you is how do you feel? And it's interesting you had that on your Instagram before and then during and then after, or during really, because it's all during. But how have you changed is quite a question, but how do you see that you've changed through all of this, through going through
Yeah,
this madness? What are you like, oh my God, like I didn't know this about myself. And now I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
you know?
No, perspective. My
Mm,
perspective has changed completely. I feel like, I mean, I feel like I was always, loving, always wanting to choose happy, but it's kind of cool because God took me through it. Like,
yeah.
I was able actually to go through it, and still going through it. But instead of it being something that I talk about, it
Mhm.
became something that I had to be about,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
feel like, and not that I wasn't about it before, but I never had a life-changing experience like I do now,
Yes.
and I never had something where it was like, wow, I have to, it's my perspective. I have to change the way I look at things. I have to change the way I'm going to go about it. And, when I was diagnosed, it was like, I made the choice that I could either have happy cancer or sad cancer,
Mhm.
but either way, I'm going to have cancer. I'm going to go through this battle. So
Mhm.
it's up to us on how we choose to go through life.
Exactly.
Either way, we can either have wonderful, awesome, fun living life, or we can be miserable. But either
Exactly.
way, you're going to have to fight that battle, whatever that battle is that you're going through. And so for me, it just changed my perspective. It helped me to realize that, the moments that we have in this life are truly gifts.
Mhm.
Like this moment that me and you are having right now, Chloe, is a gift. Like,
I agree. I
and
agree.
it's because it's the only moment that's promised right now. We're not
Exactly.
promised the next hour. We're not promised the next day. It's only this gift right now. And so I truly feel like it's helped me to realize to be more present and
Yeah.
engaged in that moment, you know? And I know we all talk about that a lot, but I feel like once you lose those moments and you're stripped from who you were before, and you're stripped from your kids and your husband and your family, and, you know, of your physical well-being, and your emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I feel like it really helps you to just scrap yourself back to that perspective, and remembering that this moment right now is a gift. Exactly. So whatever we have in that moment is to live and to really embrace it, and to take that moment with everything that we have.
Exactly. So, whatever that moment may be, you know, it's like when my dad comes and lies on me, I'm like, oh my God, this is life. Like, this is actual life right now. This is so joyous, you know, and just be where I am.
Oh, you totally.
Know, what are your thoughts? I know this is going to sound a little bit random, but I've used my past, like when I'm petrified, to think about what I've been through, to kind of give me comfort. I've used my future to think about all the things I want in life. Yeah. Do you find yourself playing with that? Like when the present is horrendous? Because I know everybody's like, be in the present, be in the present. I was so unhappy in the present when I was so uncomfortable. I focused so much on the future. Do you find yourself doing that? Like in those times when you're, let's say, in the hospital, and it's so dark, do you go outside of the present to what you want? Like, do you sort of visualize, you keep your eye on the future? Or is that not something that for you does the trick?
No, I feel like that. I feel like when I would get interviewed, you know, they would ask me, so what's the plan? And I would just say, you know, quitting, and no is not an option. And obviously that is, I feel like that for me is something looking towards the future, and just knowing that I do have a life to live with my kids. Like, and I feel like for me, I had to, you know, focus on being in the present, enjoy it. But also, I don't think it hurts to be able to set those goals and to be able to see where you want to be as well. You know what I mean? And see where, you know, it's like changing your paradigm. You know, you don't want to live in that misery, so you change it right then. Of no, I am a happy person. You know, exactly. I am a positive person, like, because that's who you want to become. So,
and totally. What do you think has made you better? I mean, and I'm assuming you are better because you're home and you're no longer hospitalized.
Yeah, I'm not in the hospital.
Yeah. What has made you better? And take that in any way you want, whether it's medicine or your mind or whatever that means to you. But why do you think you're better?
I feel like I am better because of the prayers and the faith of so many people, and because of my Heavenly Father giving me a chance. I know, you know, obviously my Heavenly Father, and like just the whole part, like me moving to where I'm at, where our family lives, you know, by divine design, you know, like I totally believe in that, because we moved here 3 hours away from our hometown for a job that we thought we were coming here for. And lo and behold, 2 years later, I got diagnosed with cancer. And we just happened to be 45 minutes away from the best blood cancer unit in like the nation, #1. And whereas in before, I would have been 4 hours away and I probably would have died. Right. So I just feel like, you know, there's so many different steps to how I got here. And there's so many, and it starts with him. You know, I believe it starts with my Heavenly Father, who put that doctor in my life to be able to diagnose me, who moved us here because we thought we were coming for a job. But lo and behold, I really was going to be faced with the biggest fight of our lives, you know, a biggest change. And so my doctors, you know, are amazing. My nurses are amazing, but I really feel like it put me in the position, especially with, you know, being alone in the hospital and putting my story out on social media, and so many people, you know, gravitating because of that. Like they were praying, they were bringing their faith together. They were uniting so much positivity that I really feel like it boosted my spirits and helped me to feel like, even though I was physically alone, I was never actually alone through it all, you know? And so I feel like through my Heavenly Father, and through who led me to my doctors, who led me to, you know, being able to bring so many prayers and so much faith, that there's so many steps to why I'm here today.
Exactly. Do you focus on like food, exercise? Are you focused on all of that, or is that less of a thing?
Exercise for sure is a big thing, especially because
you're dancing all the time too.
Yeah, it's kind of like my career. Yeah, it's my career is dancing, and I have 2 studios. So Dancing is huge for me, especially going through graft versus host disease, because it limits your mobility and takes away, your ability to move. So exercise has been really huge for me to move every single day. So I've been striving to do, at least 15 minutes on top of, my dancing and stuff like, and, little by little, whatever I can do. But eating wise, I feel like in the hospital, I struggled a lot with my eating because of,
their food.
Yeah. I mean,
they're serving like hamburgers and sausages and pancakes. I'm like, what? This is going to kill me alone, even if I'm fine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I try to eat healthy. I try to do my best, and make good choices. But I try not to make it such a huge focus and such a huge, stress for me, because I want to just still maintain, but I really try to be an intuitive eater and, know what's good for my body and do what I need. So,
yes. I did read something on you that you have struggled with depression, depression, food stuff, whatever, which I think a lot of people, of course, can relate to. And is that something that is still very much a part of your life that comes and goes, or is that a past thing? And how did you deal with that, or how are you dealing with that?
Yeah. Definitely. I feel like it's something that I feel like I've been through phases of that, and it used to control my life. Yes. It used to be a big thing that controlled my life. And now it doesn't control my life anymore. And it stopped controlling my life about a while ago. But I feel like it comes in waves, I feel like still, I feel like those are things that I'm always going to be faced with. And like my slow, choose happy, I get to choose the way I approach it or I react to it. So, like I said, it doesn't control my life anymore. I feel like with my eating disorder that I used to have, it used to have so much part and take up so much mental space and physical space and everything in my life. And now it doesn't. Like my eating disorder, I feel like there's moments where I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, okay, I have to go back to my stats, remember, what my body has done for me, how far I've come, where I'm at today, what food can actually do for me that's good, maintaining a healthy relationship with food. But also with my depression, I mean, I've been through prenatal depression, postpartum depression, just depression in itself. I feel like I said, it comes in waves. And even going through cancer, I've had my moments of darkness and sadness. And I feel like now I don't get stuck, if that makes sense. Yes, so before I feel like, before I feel like I used to get stuck, and now I feel like I have a way out. I feel like
trained yourself. You've sort of to get out. Yes. Yeah, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And for anyone that's, listening, it's possible. You can train yourself to get out of those moments. You can train yourself to remember, how far you've came, and to remember to count the things that you're grateful for, and to remember that there is still so much good in life, and that you have a purpose here. So
amen to that. Amen to that.
Amen.
So with you, it's like, in terms of Vanity, I know that you're on prednisone, and I was on massive doses. My face went out to here. And that for me, and I was on oxygen, the whole thing. And then I had acne everywhere. And I was like, oh, but of course, when you're facing death, you're like, all right, whatever. Send my face out to here if you have to. But I went into hiding, and I was like, I can't go out. I can't show that I look like this. I can't. And then I have a tank, and I'm a performer. I can't do this. And then I watched, long story short, some documentary on rats who were deprived of oxygen and developed pulmonary hypertension. I was like, oh, and it sort of changed the way I thought about everything. And then I started going out gradually and kind of having to get over it, because what's your choice, Exactly. But how do you do that? Because you are so you're very connected to your body, and in all ways, you dance, you do all of this. It seems very connected. How did you get not over that, but how do you deal with that? And how can others sort of come to terms with that if that's what they're dealing with? Because this medicine is hardcore.
It is hardcore. I mean, and honestly, I look in the mirror and I don't even know. I mean, I feel like, obviously I've been on prednisone for a while now, steroids for a while. And I've changed so much in the way I look.
Mhm.
And obviously I'm on social media, so people say things and say stuff about it. But honestly, I always think if my message and if I have to be going through this experience for some reason.
Yes.
I think that like I have to be going through this experience right now. And like I said, there's stages of my journey, right? There's so many different stages that I've been going through that it has to be for a reason.
Mhm.
And if it helps one person of me showing up, then that's good enough.
Yes.
So I truly feel that way when I post on social media or when I'm dancing on social media. I'm hoping that it resonates with that 16-year-old to remind her that she is beautiful just the way that she is
Yes,
and to
exactly.
keep showing up to life. Or it resonates with that mom, that 36-year-old mom who can, that may be struggling to remember to keep showing up because your kids need you. Or to that, dad that's going to work every day that can see my journey and go, you know what, I can keep doing it. I can keep going on and I can do hard things too.
Yes.
I just hope
Yes.
that me showing up in every which way form that I am helps one person. And like I said, I believe that we've all been given our stories and our journeys for an experience, and not just an experience for myself, but an experience for other people as well.
Exactly. It's so interesting what you say because I'm a huge believer in God as well. And I feel like all
Yeah,
of these things do happen for a reason for sure. And who I am now feels so different, than who I was before. And all the things
totally.
that happen. So I'm so vain, like so. And then of course this would hit with my face and my thing and my oxygen and
Yeah,
all the things that were my things got hit. I have to learn this. Like, oh,
yeah,
and just the way you say choosing happy was up there, but then you had to actually learn what that meant.
yeah,
So it really is. It's like if you see it, it's almost like a video game of life. You're like, oh my God, I
totally.
have to go through this step, this step, this step. Just so we understand, where are you now specifically in your journey of cancer? You're better, but what does that mean? Just for anyone, because I
Yeah.
don't know much about this.
No, that's good. No, I love that because I feel like a lot of people think that, once you're in remission with cancer, you're done. The fight's over, you're done with everything. But I'm still on lots of medicines. I'm still on an oral chemotherapy that I take daily. I'm on my steroids, Cresemba. I'm on a bunch of other medications. I'm on for my graft versus host disease that I'm fighting currently. Uh, I just recovered I'm recovering from COVID from the
Mm.
second time. So I have a low immune system. I'm immune compromised, which I'll probably be immune compromised for a while, which is, I will get sick easier than other people normally do. I have weekly doctor's appointments and weekly blood draws. I am, as you can tell, this interview, I'm right now suffering with a speech impediment
Mm.
that my doctors are unsure of from, the chemicals or whatever, or COVID. We don't know yet, but I have a brain MRI coming up.
Okay.
It's just crazy because, you think of someone fighting cancer as, losing their hair and, the chemo, but there's so much to the fight that happens. It's for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
like
Yes,
you
I do
fight it
know.
for yes,
I
yeah,
mean, I do. With
know.
transplant, just cancer, but then there's the transplant element. So I know that the whole world of like, please don't
Girl,
reject, and you're
yes.
always faced with
Well,
this.
and mentally, yeah, and mentally, I feel like, mentally, you're always scared of the relapse. Like
Of course.
I have to say, mentally, that's always on my mind is, oh my gosh, not if, but when, and it's hard not to think that way, but you're like, oh my gosh, okay. But trying to stay positive, trying to stay in the moment, but knowing that mentally the cancer struggle, just having that
Yeah.
on your mind and knowing that it could happen, is something that I struggle with. So
Does it make it hard for you to plan? Just simple plan. Like people are like, hey, in like a month, do you want? And I'm like, a month? I'm recent out of transplant. It's been like a little over a year, but I'm
yeah,
still like petrified of making a plan or, do you want to, what, can you take this lease for 2 years? I'm like, I can't take a lease for 2 years. I don't know what's going to happen to me. Like I could take a lease for a week, like
yeah,
I'm exaggerating, of course, but not really. Cause I do have this struggle with plans. And I'm like, okay, what if
yeah.
I only had today, and do you have that? And if you do, I'm asking you
I
selfishly, like,
still
how do
see,
you deal with that?
I'm still like, I'm still a gung-ho. Like, I still plan things.
Yes,
I
great.
still do, because I'm like, if it comes, it comes. Like, I just did 4 shows in December, 4 benefit concerts, and I was supposed to go to Hawaii right after for like 3 weeks with my family.
My dream. That's my dream, to go back.
Yes, and it got canceled because I got COVID right after, and I was hospitalized for 11 days, so it got canceled. So I just, for me, I still plan it. I still look forward to those moments and hope that they happen. And if not, then it doesn't. But if it does, great, but I feel like you should always be looking for the next, those opportunities to live life and to enjoy and to be able to reach your full potential when you have it. So
yeah, I'm using you to help me now. I'm like, what everybody else? This is purely for Chloe Temtchine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I just find it so tricky. So it's great to hear from you that you let yourself do that.
Yes, you have to, Chloe. Do it.
I'm so happy, but I'm also like, I have this thing over me that's always like, well, be careful. And then I'm superstitious. So I'm like, well, I can't plan, because then what if I do? And then it's like, welcome to my brain. Before I let you go, really important, I want you to I want to like pull out as much as I can with regard to you literally just bringing someone along who's going through whatever, whether they're going through, you're going through, everybody's going through a challenge in life. How can you help these people? How can you get them through? What would you have wanted to tell yourself going through this? Anything you can share in that world?
What I would have wanted to tell myself is, and I feel like I did, and I feel like my dad actually came, and my dad is on the other side. And when the day I got diagnosed, right before I got my final diagnosis, he came to me and said, we got this, we got this. And I just feel like, and that's kind of been my slogan, him, you, me, we got this with the Lord. I feel like you can do anything. And if you keep your mind right, keep your eye on the positivity, that I feel like for whoever is going through a journey or going through something hard, just remember to count your blessings, remember to recognize the things in your life that you are grateful for every single day, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how dark it may seem. Just write it down. Write down those 3 things that you're grateful for every single day. Let it become repetition. Let it become practice. Let it become a daily thing that you do, and it will lead you and guide you. And I truly feel like, when you say we got this and you say it loud, that we means there's so many other people that are behind you. Yes. You're not in it alone. You're not by yourself. You're not fighting alone. That whatever you're going through, that there are other people right there with you, praying, supporting you, loving you along the way, and that you're never actually really alone through your journey. And I call them opportunities. I feel like, it's not a trial, it's an opportunity. Every opportunity that we're given in this life is different, like the stages, every stage is different. They're all opportunities though, for us to grow, for us to, I'm sure for you, Chloe, like your experience has made you a better person, has made you more compassionate, has made you more loving to those around you, has made you more understanding, has made you more, I feel like they're opportunities, not trials. But when we look at our life's, happenings as opportunities instead of trials, they become something that we learn from them. And they become our teachers instead of less of like, oh my gosh, this is it. No, it's teaching us and it's growing us to become who we're becoming. So
yes, amen. And it's like I tell people, I had to go through all of this to learn what I had to learn. Some people could go through something much smaller, to learn, you know what I mean, or less intense and get their lesson. But I needed something this big to get what I'm getting.
I agree.
So you obviously needed something big too. It's like a bam, right? And you're like, why couldn't I just have stubbed my toe? Like, why did you have to put me through all this? But it's true that you get it as you go, and you kind of subconsciously know that you must learn something big, and so it sounds like that's what you're saying, which is so great, because you keep your focus on that instead of all the crap that's going on and, in the way you feel. And just before I let you go, can you kind of like walk us through a day in your life? I know that that's probably like weird, and because there's so many different types of days in your life, but what would just a gist be of your day?
So normally I get up pretty early. I start with dance practice a couple days a week. Okay. So I practice at 5 o'clock in the morning before the kids get up. I do a little short dance practice with my team that dances for a cause. And then I do a little workout, a 15-minute workout, try to get my workout in to move my body. And then I come home, get the kids up and ready, get them off to school. I have 5 beautiful kids. So I get my 3 oldest ones off to school with my husband. And then I spend time with my 2 littles. I have 2 littles. Some days I'm creating content and dancing more or whatever it is. Or some days I'm just momming up pretty hard and just reading books and watching movies and, doing all the things that I fought so hard for. And then at nights, usually some days I teach dance. I have a class. I teach at my dance studio and I love that. As well as, some days I have doctor's appointments and I have blood draws or it's just really, it's so different because some days it's like a major cancer day and some days are just straight mom days, but every day I try to, live to the fullest and whatever that may be, whether it is watching Encanto, for the 50th time with my kids, or it's, doing this. So I'm just so grateful. And every night we end with prayer with my kids. We go around and say what we're grateful for. We say our highlights of the day. We say what's awesome about us. I have my kids every night say what's awesome about them. They have to say something that they're, great. What makes them awesome. And then we go around and say, I love you to each other. And that's how we end our day, with a prayer and with our circle. So I'm just,
no wonder you're happy in that world. You've created a wonderful world. You have.
I do. Yeah, I have a wonderful world.
And do you think, this is my final selfish question again, but do you think that with all of this, had all of this happened, and let's say you did not have children, would you want children, or would you sort of feel like that was not where you would want to go because of all the health issues? And again, this is a selfish question, but I'm in my own brain. I'm like, wow, a lot of people who watch my content do struggle with something that is an illness of some kind, usually pulmonary hypertension, but everything. And they're debating. They're like, I'm right at that age. I don't know if I should have kids. I don't know what it takes. I know that it takes so much, but can people, would you allow yourself to think that, or would you be like, knowing what I know, this is probably not something I would choose to do,
I'm a very moved by what I feel type of person. And I'm not a huge, I donated my eggs to my friend and I did
something about that. Yeah.
I didn't even read like the paperwork, I was because I felt very pulled to do it. I felt very like that was my calling at that time. And that's what I was pulled to do. So I feel like if you feel like you have children waiting for you and you feel like you have those spirits and you feel like you could do it here on this earth, then yes, go for it. And I feel like I would. I feel like if I didn't have kids and I was going through what I was going through, I definitely would want to bring children to this earth. But if you don't, and you feel like you're going to wait till the next life, then that's great too. You'll have them there. So I just feel like whatever your heart is telling you, whatever you feel pulled, if you feel like you do want to have a child or you do want to have children, then do it. Like, I don't think you should live your life so scared of what could happen. If you're always living your life of what could happen, then nothing's ever going to happen.
That's right. Exactly. Yes. And I need to hear that for myself, because it's so true. It's like I have that so much. Yeah. I'm like, well, then this and that, and I think there's still some trauma from what happened that I'm like, but you're saying that illness or no illness, it's the same, really. It's all about your not will to have to do, but it's the feeling that pulls you, which is, again, regardless of what you're going through, really. It's a genuine pull to do it is what you should listen to. Yeah. Wow. Oh my God, Tia. So I'll see you every week at the same time for our
Therapy girl. Yes.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to share? Anything about anything that I didn't ask you that you want to get out there?
I just think, for those that are supporting those going through something hard, an illness like cancer or whatever it may be, a transplant or something, I think for those, I always get asked, like, what can I do for for my friend who just got diagnosed, or what can I do for my sister, you know, who just was diagnosed? I think the most important thing is just to be there, and to be there through the whole ride. Don't forget about them when they are in remission, you know, or after the transplant a year later, or because they look well, you know, because like I said, I feel like the journey, it changes all the time. And I feel like those, you know, everybody needs people through every stage of their life. And so I think if you're looking to support someone that's going through something hard, just a simple text, you know, often, an I love you, hey, let's go to lunch, hey, I'm thinking about you. But don't just be there when it's like really, really, really hard. Be there even when it seems like it's not hard, because it probably is.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Well, you are absolutely wonderful. Like, you are
I love you, Chloe.
like
Thank
my
you.
friend. I don't know you, you know, and you're wonderful. Everything that you do, what you represent, all of it. Thank you for sharing all of this with everyone, but with me personally.
Yeah.
I pray for you that it all continues to go well, you know, and
Thank
get
you.
better and better and better.
You
know?
too. Thank you. Yes,
Thank
it will.
you.
It will. It will. It will. Thank you.
Amen.
Whatever the plan is, we'll do it, right?
Right.
Whatever the plan is.
Exactly.
So,
We have to work with
yeah.
all of it. Exactly. I'm with you.
Well,
You're
thank
wonderful.
you so much.
Good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love you, Chloe. Thank you so much.